5 strange prehistoric creatures found in frozen ice.
As permafrost melts in the Arctic, some very exciting discoveries of the frozen bodies of long-dead prehistoric creatures have been made in recent years. These ancient mummified bodies of animals are many thousands of years old and sometimes retain fur, skin, and even internal organs.
That's hideous.
Humans haven't encountered these creatures since they roamed the prehistoric landscapes of Earth. And the fact that we can now look into the preserved faces of these magnificent organisms is just incredible. So let's take a look at 5 of these amazing animals that have been found frozen in ice. First, in 2018, a 42,000-year-old body was discovered in Siberia.
Wait. How would we even know that's 42,000 years? That's 42,000 years? How would you even know?
In 2018, a 42,000-year-old body was discovered in Siberia,
Carbon dating.
unearthed from within a massive crater that's been termed the doorway to the underworld. This crater is a giant thermokarst depression, formed after sediment became unstable following the thawing out of permafrost in the soil, and it's still increasing in size as the permafrost continues to melt.
Yo, 42,000 years is crazy. Is that after the... When was the dinosaurs? How many years ago was the dinosaurs, chat? How many... Oh, was the dinosaurs millions? Oh. Wait, 42,000 years isn't that crazy then? 65 million. Bro, that's actually mental to think about. The 42,000 years in comparison to dinosaurs isn't a lot. Yo.
Crater is around 282 feet deep, and as it grows, it exposes ancient layers of sediment containing prehistoric treasures. One of these prehistoric creatures was this very strange looking body, which, to be entirely honest, looks really quite creepy at first. But this is actually the mummified carcass of an extinct horse. It's the body of a very young foal that died when it was probably only 1 to 2 weeks old, and it would have stood just 98 centimeters tall at the shoulder, or about 39 inches. This poor little foal likely died by drowning in mud, but its rapid preservation in the icy cold temperatures of Siberia during the last glacial period...
Yo, it blows my mind how that has stayed like that for 42,000 years. That is crazy, bro.
After this mud trap turned to permafrost, meant that its body remained intact for over 40,000 years, allowing scientists to learn more about its species all this time later. This foal belongs to a kind of extinct horse species called the Lena horse, Equus linensis. This species of horse seems to be fairly distinct from other wild horse species, and their evolutionary lineage likely split off long before the ancestor of all living horses lived. So this was a separate lineage even from the living wild horse, called Przewalski's horse. The Lena horse seems to have gone extinct possibly as recently as just 2,000 years ago, with potential specimens from this age found in other locations in Siberia. They were somewhat small in stature compared to other horse species, and they would have to have been pretty hardy beasts to survive in the mammoth steppe environment of Siberia during ancient glacial periods. The 42,000-year-old foal is remarkably well preserved and reveals many details about this extinct kind of horse. All its limbs are still intact, as is its head, and even the hairs of its tail, mane, and overall coat are still attached.
Yo, do you reckon? Wait, if all its limbs are that, what about its organs? What about its brain? Do you reckon we could bring it back to life? Because if we can, yo, freeze me up. Freeze me up. Freeze me up for 42,000 years. Do you reckon his brain is intact or not?
Looking at the little hooves of the animal, it almost looks as though it died yesterday. This preserved hair is particularly exciting as it has enabled scientists to find out that the Lena horse foal would have had a bay coat, while the mane and tail were black in colour. But that's not even the most amazing part of this discovery. The body still contains well-preserved internal organs, and after several months of studying the Lena horse specimen, scientists discovered that the body even retained liquid blood. 42,000-year-old liquid blood was quite the surprise, to put it mildly. As the
How?
researchers explain, blood usually coagulates or becomes powder over thousands of years.
How?
So the fact that this exceptional specimen retains blood in liquid form is incredibly exciting. Not only that, but they also came across urine still in its bladder, and they were able to confirm its cause of death as drowning. Since the
Wait, yo, how? How, bro, after 42,000 years, how is it so intact?
gastrointestinal tract contained a lot of mud that the poor creature must have swallowed in its last moments as it desperately tried to breathe. A description of the carcass doesn't yet seem to have been published in a scientific journal as far as I can tell, but hopefully it will be soon. Apparently, according to media releases about the foal, the researchers studying this animal have actually been attempting to grow living cells from the preserved tissues of this specimen, with hopes of potentially one day cloning it using living horses as surrogates for the embryo.
So, wait, so they can't bring it back to life then? They just can clone it? Because I'm thinking about freezing myself. I was going to find a pile of mud.
However, at least as of reports from 2019, they seemingly have not yet been successful in growing these cells. Nevertheless, this is a truly stunning example of a prehistoric creature preserved frozen in ice. And hopefully we get some more information about this amazing little foal soon. Next up, we've got a very recent find that might just be one of the most mind-blowing prehistoric discoveries of all time.
Hey, what on earth is this? This looks like some one weird hairy ass KFC chicken. I never got hairy KFC chicken, but I bet someone has. What on earth is this, bro?
The frozen body of a saber-toothed cat. This mummified carcass preserves the front half of the body of a 3-week-old saber-toothed kitten belonging to the species Homotherium latidens. It was also uncovered in Siberia back in 2020, and in November of 2024, a description of the body was published in a scientific journal and announced to the world. This cub is between 35 and 37,000 years old, and is amazingly well preserved. It's just so exciting to be able to look at the face of a saber-toothed cat, one of the most iconic and...
Buddy, you're showing me this? Yeah, saber-tooth, absolute badass. But then you're showing me this. Now, I don't know if I'm tripping, but that looks like chicken. And that looks like a badass saber-tooth. Was a baby?
So exciting to be able to look at the face of a saber-toothed cat, one of the most iconic and awe-inspiring prehistoric animals ever, with all of its fur and soft tissues intact. And to think that this is the face that so many unfortunate ancient animals saw in their final moments as they were hunted down by such a fearsome predator.
I like the saber-tooth.
Well, not this face exactly, as this is an incredibly adorable saber-toothed kitten, and I kinda want one. This mummy is the first time that an extinct mammal with no analogue or close relative alive today has been discovered as a frozen specimen, making it an especially exciting find. Saber-toothed...
Wait, yo, you know how, like, the Egyptian mummies, did they freeze themselves? Or did they just wrap themselves up and put them in tombs? They didn't freeze themselves, did they? So, like, if you take off the things, it's pretty much, like, all gone. They didn't freeze themselves. They dried out. Damn. They're not very smart, are they? They should have froze themselves like these. Then they'd be intact. Damn, bro. They just wrapped themselves up and now they're just dust.
Cats are members of an entirely distinct lineage from all living cats. They're part of a subfamily called Machairodontinae, which diverged from other cat groups some 20 million years ago. This is also the reason you'll get paleontologists shouting at you if you call them saber-toothed tigers, since the Machairodontines and tigers are very distantly related. Anyway, since this is the body of a very young cub, the infamous saber teeth had not yet developed when this cat died. Nevertheless, there's a lot we can learn from the soft tissue preservation.
It's a fake then.
For example, the ears of the Homotherium cub, when compared to a similarly aged lion cub, are rather low and rounded, which makes them better suited for a life in a cold environment, as it reduces the surface area of the head, so heat isn't lost as easily. The thickness of the hair would also have helped with this. And examining the preserved paws of the cub, they appear a lot wider and more rounded compared to the lion cub. The pads of the feet, or toe beans as they are technically known, are also a very different shape.
Yeah, they're
so
thicker.
overall, the feet of Homotherium look much better adapted for walking on soft snow, which makes sense considering the environment this cub was inhabiting. Other interesting details of this mummified kitten include the curious tufts of longer hair near the mouth.
No, chat, listen. When I say the mummies, why didn't they freeze themselves, right? Listen, they were powerful people, no? I'm not saying freeze yourself in Egypt. I'm not dumb. I know Egypt is a very, very hot place, right? But these powerful people, could they not go to Antarctica and stick themselves in a pile of ice? You know what I'm saying? They're very powerful people. The people that are in tombs, that are mummies. They could have done that. They could have been like, yo, take me to Antarctica, bro. What boat? What do you mean, what boat? They built the pyramids. I'm pretty sure they can figure out how to get to ice. They built the pyramids, bro. I'm pretty sure they could figure out how to find ice. They didn't know Antarctica existed.
As well as the comparatively much thicker musculature of the neck compared to a lion cub. It seems these saber-toothed cats had proportionally longer and much stronger, beefier necks than lions.
They could have asked the aliens.
Homotherium is also known as the scimitar-toothed cat, and it actually belongs to a different subgrouping compared to the more famous Smilodon, the classic saber-toothed cat that prowled the Americas. The saber teeth of Homotherium were proportionally shorter but had coarser serrations compared to the much longer canines of Smilodon, leading to its nickname of the scimitar-toothed cat. Despite not yet having these enlarged canines since it was so young, the Homotherium cub has an upper lip height that was much greater than in the lion cub. This seems to suggest then that as the scimitar teeth grew larger as Homotherium aged, the soft tissue of the lips would likely have concealed the enlarged canines, meaning that, contrary to a lot of paleoartistic reconstructions showing these cats baring their teeth even with the mouth closed, they would in fact have been hidden most of the time. This is a discussion that paleontologists had actually been engaging in for a few years.
I don't understand how, like lions and cats, they lost these fangs. Because you know how like evolution, right? Evolution keeps the best part of you and you adapt to be better. Well, you should do, right? Why would you adapt to lose them? Because isn't that like the most crucial part? Like those teeth right there are perfect for chomping up things. Maybe it was uncomfortable.
This is a discussion that paleontologists had actually been engaging in for a few years. Some researchers had examined fossil skulls and looked at modern big cats, and proposed that Homotherium and perhaps some other saber-toothed species would have hidden their killer teeth. They didn't think this would likely have been the case in all species, however, as Smilodon itself definitely seems to have had canines that were just way too big to be concealed by soft tissues with a closed mouth. So this Homotherium cub mummy does indeed seem to support the hypothesis that this species had hidden teeth, going by the more extensive lips. The discovery of a frozen saber-toothed cat was an unexpected and truly unbelievable find, and it really does open up the possibility that all sorts of other extinct animals with no modern representatives could be out there waiting for us to find them. Now I'm going to throw you a bit of a curveball. This next prehistoric creature found frozen in ice dates back to about
Yo, chat, have we never found like a dinosaur frozen in ice? Now, before you say, Lewis, you're stupid, I'm not on about dinosaur bones. I mean like this, bro, where you can actually see it.
46,000 years ago. But when they were unearthed, it turned out that they were still alive. Yes, that's right. They had survived for more than 46,000 years frozen in ice. What sort of creature could do this?
Okay. Yo, chat. When I am Let's pick an age. When do I want to freeze? I think a perfect age is 50. I've lived a good life in the 2000s. Chat, when I'm 50, right? I want you guys to either tell your kids to tell their kids and tell their kids, like, make it a generational thing that I'm frozen somewhere. I'll give you guys the coordinates when I plan it all out, okay? Right, this is proof. They lived 42,000 years. And then tell your kids to tell your kids to tell your kids to tell their kids to tell their kids to come and find me, please. Thank you.
Is this some sort of science fiction story? These are nematode worms, microscopic little organisms found in all kinds of environments across the planet.
I could
in
be
the
a worm.
Earth's topsoils, these worms are incredibly abundant.
Good, Reg.
In fact, there are an estimated 4.4 times 10 to the 20 nematodes inhabiting soils globally.
Yo, I'm English, buddy. You started off speaking English. What did you just say? I hate when these videos do this, bro. Like, you know your target audience, right? Do we all look like we fucking work for NASA? No. We're watching YouTube, buddy. What did he just say, bro? Anyone know what he just said? It's just a lot. Is it just a lot? It's just a lot.
Which equates to about 60 billion of these worms for every human on the planet. So it makes sense that they turn up in prehistoric frozen soils. What was far less expected was when these ancient worms woke up and started moving around again after being preserved for 46,000 years. In 2002, scientists in Siberia took soil samples from the frozen remains of an ancient ground squirrel burrow 30 meters below the surface in a layer of permafrost dating to about 46,000 years ago.
Yo, chat, do you reckon there's any of these worms that had a 46,000 year grudge? Imagine, like, one of the worms pissed off some other worm, and they've been hunting them down for 46,000 years, bro. No breaks. On a mission to kill that worm. And he's just been running for 46,000 years. Oh my, imagine, bro, that would be the craziest thing. That would be the a 46,000 year mission, mate.
The samples were then stored at freezing temperatures in a lab for many years. Then, in 2015, another sample of ancient frozen soil was taken from a different site in Siberia, from a layer with an estimated age of around 41,700 years old, plus or minus 1,400 years. This sample was also then stored in a lab. These two ancient soil samples were then included in a study that incorporated more than 300 samples from various places in the Arctic. But the researchers were not looking for worms. They were actually searching for examples of single-celled organisms that were well known to be capable of surviving thousands of years frozen in permafrost. But, to their astonishment, they noticed the nematode worms had been revived and were moving once more. They apparently only saw them moving 10 to 14 days after the samples were unfrozen, but they might have been moving about before this and went unnoticed. These nematodes began reproducing by cloning themselves to produce offspring, a reproductive strategy known as parthenogenesis. The researchers further encouraged this reproduction by placing the nematode cultures in petri dishes with access to more food, quickly cultivating clonal populations of ancient Pleistocene worms. The 46,000-year-old worms were found to be members of a new species, Panagrolimus collimaensis.
Oh my god, I didn't even think about that, damn it. Yo, they must be so hungry, bro. You've had a 46,000 year nap and you wake up. Oh my days. Bro, imagine how hungry you'd be. Imagine how hungry. Yo, I can't even. Bro, after an hour of not eating, I'm starving. 46,000? Oh my god, some of them will be waking up with like the biggest boner of all time. Wait, do worms have cocks? Do worms have cocks? Or nah? I don't even know. I want to check. I'm on Twitch, bro. I'm not searching up a worm cock. No, they don't. Okay.
One that's similar to other living nematodes but wasn't previously known to have existed. The 41,700-year-old worms, meanwhile, were a species called Plectus parvus, a nematode that still lives in our modern soils. Both these worms belong to nematode groups that are known to be incredibly hardy. and can even be found.
Wait, chat. What's that? Because to me, that was like a vagina. What is that? Lit. Okay, I'm gonna take a guess and say that like we don't. I'm gonna take a crazy guess and say we don't know, bro. We don't know. We don't know.
In Antarctica, so they are adapted for surviving freezing conditions. Some other researchers have understandably been critical of the claim that these worms survived for so long and suggested that the soil samples might have been contaminated by modern nematode worms. However, the scientists maintain that very strict sterilization techniques were used the whole time the samples were being stored and handled, techniques that were in place specifically to prevent contamination by modern organisms. The discovery that these worms are capable of surviving after being frozen for almost 50,000 years is another mind-blowing realization.
That is
and
crazy.
Once again shows the importance of studying creatures found frozen in ice. It also has exciting implications for the study of cryobiology sciences such as
Yo, are these worms dumb? Like, yo, why the dumbest, like, things live the longest? Like, you're telling me this species, yeah, can survive 50,000 years, but the only movement it does, and all I've seen is this. Like, I don't know if they're dancing because they're back alive after 50,000 years. I don't know what they're doing, but it looks very dumb to me.
Also has exciting implications for the study of cryobiology sciences such as cryomedicine, and also astrobiology. The adaptive mechanisms present in these worms could help us to better understand the potential for extraterrestrial life in places where extreme cold environments are prevalent. Life really does, find a way. The next prehistoric animal
Yo, that's what I'm saying, chat. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so hear me out. We soon will find alien life. Like, of course we will, right? We will. And I think it's going to be sooner than later, right? But the only problem we got, yeah, is most likely going to be bacteria or like worms like that or something. Something is not fun at all. Like, it's not going to be aliens with 3 heads and like laser beam guns, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be some boring ass bacteria or some worms, bro. It's going to be that first. It's going to be that first. Then when we find that, then we're going to get all excited because, like, you know, like life is proven out. Well, life is definitely out there, bro, but
found frozen in ice is one that sadly did not wake up and start moving around again. This is the body of an ancient bear found on an Arctic island to the north of the Siberian mainland in August of 2020. This bear was uncovered by reindeer herders on the island, and the body is absolutely extraordinary, with much of the fur preserved, an intact snout and...
Hey, buddy, I don't know what extraordinary looks to you, but what am I looking at? It looks like a pile of shit with teeth in. What is this, bro?
Nose, and its limbs are still attached, with its sharp claws still in place.
Claws?
Incredibly, the internal organs of the bear are also preserved inside the carcass. The specimen has come to be known as the Etherican bear, as it was found near the Bolshoi Etherican River on the Siberian island.
Yeah, let's go,
now, initially when this bear was discovered, scientists thought it could have been a mummified cave bear, the extinct species Ursus spelaeus. This bear died out around 24,000 years ago, so the frozen specimen was assumed to be at least this old. However, upon further examination, it turned out that the Etherican bear was in fact a long-dead brown bear, and it was around 3,500 years old. Although that's significantly younger than first thought, an ancient mummified brown bear is still a remarkable find. This bear was female and likely about 5 years old when she died. She's about 5 feet tall and weighs 78 kilograms, or about 172 pounds. Scientists have dissected the bear's body to learn more about this animal, finding that its stomach was still...
Yo, that don't look like a bear's head to me. That looks like a warthog. Are you sure this is a bear? Are you sure?
Filled with the remains of its last meal, including plants and bird feathers. This makes sense considering that modern brown bears
bears
are
are
omnivorous, feeding on both plants and animals. They also found that she was a rather fat bear, indicating that she was probably getting ready for hibernation or had just woken up when she died.
That's rude as shit!
The scientists identified a severe spinal injury and a chest injury on the body, which they suspect was probably the cause of death of this poor old bear. The backbone had actually been amputated, disrupting the spinal cord and likely paralysing the lower part of the body.
Ooh.
The chest had also been compressed by some kind of solid block. The researchers therefore suggest that the bear might have been crushed underneath a block of permafrost that happened to fall on top of it. In fact, just looking at the carcass, you can see the back is very flattened, clearly from where something massive fell on top of it. The scientists also say they're still unsure as to how exactly the Etherican bear actually reached this Arctic island, as it's separated from the mainland by a good 31 miles of water. There was likely a land bridge that connected the island to the mainland thousands of years ago during the last glaciation, so it may have been part of a population that walked across to the island. However, if this were the case, then the scientists would expect to find lots of other brown bear carcasses on the island. The island is almost 300 kilometers further north than the northernmost boundary of modern brown bears in Siberia. So just what exactly was it doing there? Did the bear swim the whole way? Or maybe it travelled across the ice in springtime before it melted. Hopefully, further investigation of the Etherican bear will reveal even more about the story of this animal, and I look forward to seeing what's discovered next. Finally, for our look at some incredible frozen prehistoric animals, we have the remarkable mummified body of an ancient wolf pup. It was discovered in July 2016 in...
Oh no, that is hideous. That is a big forehead, mate. Jesus, man. Oh my god, you know what it looks like? It looks like Mr. Byrne from Simpsons. Yo. It actually does.
Thawing permafrost in the Klondike goldfields near Dawson City in Yukon Territory, along the bank of a small creek. This wolf lived some 57,000 years ago, and was just 6 or 7 weeks old at the time of death. The young wolf has been given the name Jur, which means wolf in the Han language of the Trondequichin First Nation, who live in the Yukon. The body of this little wolf is very well preserved, especially considering its great age, and it's the most complete wolf mummy currently known to us. Many external features are clearly...
Oh my god, I thought it was bigger than that! Is that small? It's tiny!
Preserved, which allows the researchers to tell that Jur was female, and she measures just 42 centimeters in total length, or about 16.4 inches, so she was still just a tiny puppy. Jur seems to have died when her den collapsed on her, entombing her body for all these thousands of years after she became frozen in the permafrost. It appears that she died pretty instantaneously, since she doesn't show any signs of having been starved, so burial by collapsing sediment seems to be the most likely explanation for what's killed her, as well as for how she became so perfectly preserved.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna put it out there, bro. The animal kingdom is rough. I think the parents seen how hideous this pup was and kicked it back in the hole and buried it. I think that's what actually happened. I think the parents killed it.
It's not clear why she was the only wolf preserved in the den, but she might have been an only child, and maybe her mother was away when it collapsed. Very interestingly, analysis of the...
Hey, look, you know what I'm saying, Jack? Look at these wolves. Absolutely beautiful. And then you got this. You know what I mean? It's just not the same. It's not the same.
The stable isotopes in the teeth and hair of Jur revealed that her mother, who had been feeding her, had been consuming a lot of aquatic prey. The researchers therefore hypothesized that perhaps these prehistoric wolves were catching Chinook salmon, which would have been an abundant resource at certain times of the year.
Oh, wait, yeah, chat. Oh, yeah, true. You do have a point. I am forgetting that it's been dead for 50,000 years. I am forgetting that. But hey, let's just rock with it anyway, bro.
As they travelled up the nearby Klondike River to spawn. This is actually a similar behaviour to what's seen in some living populations of wolves in the interior of Alaska, which will seasonally feed on salmon from rivers. The mitochondrial genome of Zhur was also studied by the scientists, allowing the evolutionary relationships of this prehistoric wolf to be investigated. They found that Zhur's lineage split off from other wolves after the point the modern high-altitude wolves such as the Himalayan wolf diverged, but long before all other living wolves diverged. Zhur's genome groups with several other examples of ancient grey wolf from both Eurasia and North America, showing that these populations were highly connected by the Bering Land Bridge that would have joined Alaska and Russia when sea levels were lower in the past.
Mad.
So the wolves could freely move between continents.
Mad.
Another interesting discovery from examining her genome was the realization that Zhur's lineage of prehistoric wolves was not a direct ancestor of the grey wolves found in the region today. So that must mean that, at least at one point in the past, there was a wave of local extinction and complete replacement by other wolf populations. The remarkable discovery of Zhur therefore tells us a lot about the dynamics of ancient wolf populations and how they spread across continents, as well as giving us a window into the life and death of this poor little pup nearly 60,000 years ago. So there we have it. 5 incredible examples of prehistoric animals frozen.
Hey chat, this is why I want to be frozen, man, because like in 50,000 years time, I want to be on one of those videos. Like imagine they're saying, yo, these 5 strange prehistoric creatures, and then there's me. You know what I mean? Hey, bro, that's what I want to be. That's why I want to be frozen. I want to freeze myself.
In ice. These remarkable glimpses into our planet's past can teach us so much about life many thousands of years ago. And although finding these creatures is often quite sad, knowing that these animals died at such young ages and sometimes in pretty awful circumstances, the fact that we found them and can learn so much from their bodies gives these creatures a second life in a way. Although they died alone long ago, they will now be remembered forever by thousands of people across the planet.
Should I get a wolf tattoo? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. To be fair though, chat, the animal kingdom is absolutely sad in itself. Like, bro, like if you look at videos about it, it is brutal. It is brutal. Like, these animals died early on. At least it was frozen. You know what I mean? At least it was frozen. Because now we can, you know, they're kind of like famous now. You know what I'm saying? They're famous. But yo, the animal kingdom, bro, brutal, mate.